What do you want to be when you grow up? A doctor, an actor, a pilot, a musician, a lawyer. These are just a few examples of the things that you would expect a kid to say when this question is first asked. The answer changes constantly, from kindergarten all the way up to high school. Students work hard each day and spend years learning things that they don't realize they'll never use again. They turn 18 and they graduate. They go on to learn something that's more specific to the field that they're interested in. But the real challenge rises when they go out into the real world. They realize that despite the many years that they spent inside the classroom, they never learned a real life skill. All those years spent stressing about assignments and exams to achieve success, only to realize it was worthless. That's because the success that we dream of doesn't just come from getting a degree or the dream job, but excelling at it. So what's that skill that we need to achieve that success? Who do we have to be the best versions of ourselves? It's simple. Leaders. Unfortunately, we're led to believe that we're not leaders. We're not leaders because we don't have the title or the power that comes with a certain position. We think of them as people that are part of the political sphere or the workforce. We can't imagine ourselves as leaders because we can't imagine ourselves having that much power or that much purpose. I can bet that when I said the word leader, the image at the back of your mind was that of an adult at a workplace. But is that really who a leader is? Is it realistic to wait years to be given the title of a leader? At the age of 13, I entered a creative writing competition and discovered my passion for writing. I wrote passionately, and at 14, I published my first book that night. I continued writing, and I published a plethora of motivational articles on magazines around the world. I worked on 3 anthologies with other talented writers. And recently, I published my book, Nobody Told You This Before, which is a collection of motivational articles. I achieved my dreams and this success because I refuse to wait to grow up to be an author. There's no rule that says that you have to have a degree to pursue your dreams, because that's not what success is about. I do realize you can't apply this to every field because you do need a certain level of textbook knowledge. But in the long run, no matter what field you choose, the fact is that you need to be a leader in order to be successful. Throughout my journey as a writer, I've learned some things that I believe make me the person that I am today. A leader. To me, leaders have a vision and a goal. They're confident, determined, and hardworking. They're passionate and persuasive. They don't cave under pressure, and they stand firm in the face of obstacles. They have a way with words. They motivate and inspire people around them, and they can communicate confidently. They leave their audience speechless. At 10 years old, when I could barely speak to a stranger, my parents signed me up for a public speaking club. It felt like a punishment. So I started going, and after a few weeks of just sitting in the back and being impressed by all the other speakers and the way they just spoke confidently, unfortunately, it was my turn. The first time that I spoke to a room full of strangers, I wanted it to be about something that was important to me. I hoped that if I spoke about something that I was passionate about, the words would just flow out and I would leave the stage confidently. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. I walked off the stage feeling ashamed and disappointed in myself. Everyone from my mentor to my parents attempted to make me feel better. But to 10-year-old me, that was it. It seemed as if I would always be a hopeless case of stage fright and anxiety. It wasn't until the 2018 Toastmasters World Championship winner was announced that I gave it another try. When Romana J. Smith stood on the World Championship stage and talked about how she was still standing, despite the many obstacles that she had faced, I realized that I could do the same. That's when I understood the power of words. I went back to the club. I gave a couple more speeches, and after a few months, I was walking around the stage confidently. I could leave the stage with a smile. I let myself enjoy the moment. Instead of just saying out loud the words that I had memorized, I was in the moment. I was a confident speaker. The 2019 club contest rolled around, and I signed up. I gave my speech, and I walked off the stage knowing I wasn't going to win. That was okay because there were more experienced speakers there. I didn't win an award that day, but the way that I smiled, you would have thought I did. I had improved, and that's what was important. Today, I'm the vice president of that club. I kept going back and I kept giving speeches, and for around 10 consecutive sessions, I won the Best Speaker Award. And recently, I was at a TEDx event and I spoke confidently about my journey as an author and as a public speaker. My journey as a public speaker was one of the first hurdles that I crossed to become the person that I am today. Going back to my passion for writing. Soon after writing my first few short stories, COVID-19 hit, and we all went into quarantine, which is a pretty challenging time for most of us. But I used the extra free time to my advantage. I continuously wrote, and before I knew it, I had the plot for my first book. The thing about writing is though, no matter how clear your plot may be, writer's block is inevitable. And it's moments like those, when everything seems to go wrong, that are the most challenging. Leaders figure out innovative solutions to challenging situations. And that's what I did. I learned to remind myself of the reason that I write. Romana J. Smith taught me the value of words, and I learned to speak to the world in different ways. Most of the speeches that I had given in my club were motivational speeches, so I took one of them and I converted it into an article and I emailed it to a couple of magazines. I was pleasantly surprised when one of them emailed me back saying it was published. So I continued to speak to the world with my words, with the hope that I would inspire the youth. A core memory that I have is of an article that I wrote about forgiveness. It got published in a magazine in Oman, and one of my father's co-workers read it. He mentioned how he had recently been in an argument with someone, and he was completely moved after reading the article. It changed his perspective on the entire situation. And seeing how my words had impacted someone's life motivated me to start working on my next two projects. I started writing my book, Nobody Told You This Before, which, as I mentioned previously, is a collection of motivational articles. My aim with this book is to inspire the youth. Another thing that I've been working on is my podcast. I use my voice through this podcast to address the significant issues in our world that are just not talked about as much as they should be, such as the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations. I believe it's my resilience, confidence, and motivation to inspire others that make me a leader. I've learned the importance of being a leader and how it can help me achieve my goals. So I urge you to work on yourself. Don't wait for that title or that position of leadership. Figure out what skills you lack and work on each one of them. And I'm sure that you'll achieve success in no time. Keep in mind that leadership is not a position or a power. It is in fact an attitude. Thank you.